it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I have this hat for us to do. It's made with the star stitch. I think this is a really cute hat. It's really pretty. I made this using red hearts with love. I used 2 colors. This is a medium 4 worsted weight yarn. Each one of these balls has 315 yards. You won't be using all of that. You'll only need about 105 yards to make this hat. I would give yourself at least 110, 120 yards if you're going to be using a different yarn, just to make sure you have enough yarn. Again, this is a worsted weight 4 yarn, medium 4 yarn. This is 100% acrylic. It's machine wash and dry. The first color I used is this pink color. It's called Papaya. And the purple color I used is called Violet. You do not have to use this particular yarn. You can use any medium 4 yarn that you wish. Again, you'd want to make sure that you have about 110 to 120 yards to make this hat. Next, you will need a size J or a 6.0 millimeter hook. That's for the brim. And for the hat itself, I used a K or a 6.5 millimeter hook. You want a yarn needle to weave in your ends and a pair of scissors. So let's grab our hooks, grab our yarn, and let's start making a star stitch hat. To start the stargazer hat, we're going to start with our J hook, 6.0 millimeter hook, and the color yarn that you're going to be using for your brim. In this case, I'm going to be using the purple. I'm going to start with a chain of 9. And in the second chain from hook, we're going to single crochet. Single crochet in each chain all the way down to the end. This will give you 8 stitches. To start row 2, you're going to chain 1 and turn the work. In the first stitch, place 1 single crochet. In the next 6 stitches, we're going to single crochet in the back loop only. This is your front loop, and this one is your back loop. So we're going to single crochet in the back loop only for the next 6 stitches. In the last stitch, we're going to go through both loops. Chain 1 and turn the work. And we're going to keep repeating that till we have 55 rows. So single crochet in the first stitch, then back loop only, single crochet for the next 6 stitches. And then in the last stitch, single crochet through both loops. And that's going to give us this ribbed texture for the brim. So continue this back and forth until you have 55 rows done, and I'll meet back up with you once you have your 55 rows completed. I have my 55 rows completed. We're going to chain 1, turn the work, and we're going to fold up the ribbing so that row 1 meets row 55. And then we're going to slip stitch row 1 to row 55. So you just match stitch per stitch, and you can go over this tail if you want, or you can push the tail back and weave it in later. I'm going to weave mine in later. Just make sure you're going stitch per stitch and just slip stitch the row 55 to row 1. And you get to the end, chain 1, open up the work, and turn it inside out like this, because then it makes it look just like another rib. And then we're going to pull up a loop like so. Take out your J hook, and we're going to replace it with our K hook. Now we're going to start row 1 of the hat by placing 1 single crochet into the end of each row. So continue placing 1 single crochet into the end of each row till you get back to the beginning, and I'll meet up with you at the end. I'm at the end of row 1. I have 55 stitches. We're going to slip stitch to the first stitch that we made. To start row 2, we're going to chain up 3. And this is going to be our first star stitched row. To start that row, we're going to insert our hook, second chain from hook, and pull up a loop. Insert into the next chain and pull up a loop. Insert into the same stitch we just slip stitched into and pull up a loop. Go into the first stitch or the next stitch and pull up a loop, and into the next stitch and pull up a loop. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. Careful not to split any yarn or snag it. Yarn over the hook and chain 1. That's your first star stitch. If you're unfamiliar on how to do the star stitch, I'll put in the description box below my link. I'll link to my tutorial on how to do the star stitch. So you're going to insert your hook into the center of the stitch, the star stitch, pull up a loop, split the last 2 posts and pull up a loop, insert into the last worked stitch and pull up a loop, and then into the next 2 stitches we're going to pull up another 2 loops so that we have 6 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 6 again and chain 1. That's your next star stitch. I'll show it to you one more time. Insert into the center of the stitch, pull up a loop, split the last two posts of that same stitch, insert into the last stitch worked, and pull up another loop, and into the next two stitches, pull up a loop. 6 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, yarn over, and chain 1. Continue working the star stitch all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 2. I have 27 star stitches, and we're going to place a half double crochet into that last work stitch from the star stitch. So place a half double crochet right into that last stitch, just like that. Then we're going to slip stitch into that top bar of that first star stitch to end the row, just like that. To start row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn the work. We're going to place a half double crochet right back into that same stitch that we just half double crocheted. We're going to place another half double crochet right back into it. Now, my suggestion here, because it's going to be difficult to see that half double crochet, is to get a stitch marker or a piece of yarn and mark that stitch. It makes it a little bit easier when you're coming back around to know where to slip stitch into. Then we're going to place 2 half double crochets into the eye of each of the star stitches. And if you look on the right side, you'll see it completes the stitch. If you're not sure where that eye is, you can flip it over and you'll be able to see it a little bit better, but it's right there. So continue placing 2 half double crochet into each of the eyes of the star stitch, or that chain 1 space, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. And at the end of row 3, we have 55 stitches. We can take our stitch marker out, and we're going to be switching colors. My color B is the papaya color, so we're going to bring our purple to the inside, and we're going to bring our papaya over and enter. We're going to slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made, but we're going to pull up the papaya and change the colors. And you can just tie this to the purple, or tie it to whatever, tie your color A to your color B. I'm going to leave this color A, or the purple, attached, because I'm going to just keep bringing up the colors, because we're going to switch colors. So this will be on the inside of the hat. So to start row 4, we're going to turn the work, and we're going to start with a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Second chain from hook, insert your hook and pull up a loop. Go into the second chain and pull up a loop. And we're going to go into that stitch that we just slip stitched into and pull up a loop. So we have 4 loops on our hook. Go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and to the next stitch and pull up a loop. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to complete the stitch. Now we're going to continue making star stitches. So insert into the center of the stitch, or the eye, pull up a loop, split the post, pull up a loop, insert into the last work stitch and into the next 2 stitches and pull up a loop in both of those. So we have 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to complete. Show you one more time. Insert into the center of that chain 1 space, split those last 2 posts into the last work stitch and into the next 2 stitches, so that we have 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to complete. Continue making star stitches all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. At the end of round 4, I'm going to place my last half double crochet into that last work stitch of the star stitch, last star stitch. We have 27 star stitches, and we're going to slip stitch to the top post of that first star stitch that we made, just like we did in round 2. We're going to chain 1 and turn the work, and half double crochet back into that first half double crochet that we made. And we're going to place a stitch marker again, find my stitch marker, into that first stitch. And work 2 half double crochets into the eye of each star stitch. Again, this is just a repeat of round 3. So continue working 2 half double crochets into every eye of the star stitches, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of row 5. I have 55 stitches. I'm going to take out the stitch marker. We're going to change colors and go back to the purple, or color A. Let's slip stitch to the top first half double crochet. We're going to turn the work and chain 3. Now for rows 6 through rows 11, it's just a repeat of row 2 through row 5. Again, we're just going to repeat row 2 through 5 for rows 11 through row 6 through row 11. I'll start you off on row 6, and then I'll meet up with you at the end of row 11. So we chained our 3, and we're going to insert second chain from hook and pull up a loop into the second chain or next chain and pull up a loop into the stitch that we just slip stitched into and pull up a loop into the next stitch and pull up a loop. And we should have 5 loops right now. And we're going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. So we'll have 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to complete. Insert into the eye of the stitch, pull up a loop, split those post stitches, pull up a loop, insert into the last work stitch, pull up a loop, into the next 2 stitches, pull up loops, and we have 6 loops, yarn over, pull through all 6, yarn over again, and complete the chain stitch. I'll show you one more time. Insert into the center, pull up a loop, split the post, pull up a loop, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, and the next. So you have 6 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, chain stitch to complete. Continue working star stitches all the way back around. That's a repeat of row 2. Then you're going to go row 3, row 4, row 5, and repeat the sequence till you get to row 11, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 11. Do not fasten off at the end of row 11. At the end of row 11, we have 55 stitches. We need to change to color B, so we're going to drop our purple, and we're going to pick up our papaya, and we're going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet we made. Once we've done our slip stitch, we're going to turn the work and chain up 3. Now for round 12, we're going to start our decrease rounds. To do that, we're going to do a regular star stitch, and then we're going to do a star stitch with 8 loops. So for the first star stitch, we're going to start off regular, just like we did in our previous rows. So insert our hook in the second chain from hook, pull up a loop, insert into the next one, and pull up a loop, insert into the same stitch we just slip stitched into, and pull up a loop, and then into the next 2 stitches and pull up a loop. So we have our 6 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 6, and chain 1. Now our next stitch, we're going to put 8 loops on our hook. So yarn, insert our hook and pull up a loop in the center, split the post, and then the last work stitch, 4 loops, and we're going to pull up a loop in the next 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that gives us 8 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yarn over and pull through all 8 loops and chain 1 to complete the stitch. Now we're going to do a regular star stitch in the next one. So we're going to insert our hook into the center of this stitch, pull up a loop, split those last 2 posts, insert into the last stitch worked, 4 loops, and into the next two stitches, excuse me. So now we have our 6 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over the hook and pull through all 6. Chain 1 to complete the stitch. Then our next stitch, we're going to do an 8 loop again, an 8 loop star stitch again. So insert into the center, pull up a loop, split the post, insert into the last stitch worked, pull up a loop, and then insert and pull up a loop in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that gives us 8 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yarn over and pull through all 8 loops, chain 1 to complete. So continue working in this manner. A 6 loop, an 8 loop, a 6 loop, an 8 loop, until you get to the last stitch, which you should have 18 total star stitches, and this should be your last stitch work, should be right here. I'll meet back up with you at the end of the row. We're at the end of round 12. We have 18 star stitches. We placed a half double crochet in the last stitch worked, and we're going to slip stitch to the top post, or the first post of the first star stitch that we made. Chain 1 and turn the work. We're going to half double crochet in that first half double crochet that we made, that last half double crochet, and then we're going to place 2 half double crochets into the chain 1 space, or the eye of each star stitch around, just like we've done before. So continue placing 2 half double crochets in the eye of each star stitch all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 13. We have 37 half double crochet. We're done with our papaya, so we're going to cut that off, and we're going to bring up our purple, or our color A, and we're going to half double crochet to that first, excuse me, we're going to slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made, and turn the work and chain up 3 to start row 14. And this is going to be our last decrease round. So we're going to start with a 6 loop star stitch. So second chain from hook, pull up a loop, and the next chain, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. Into that first stitch, pull up a loop. Into the next 2, pull up a loop. So we have our 6 loops, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to complete the stitch. Now our next one, we're going to do the 8 loop. So insert into the center, pull up a loop, split the post, pull up a loop, insert into the last work stitch, 4 loops, and then we're going to go pull up a loop in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to go through all 8 loops, chain 1 to complete. Then the next one will be a 6 loop star stitch. Insert into the center, split the post into the last work stitch and into the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. We have our 6 loops, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to complete. Continue that pattern, an 8 loop, 6 loop, 8 loop, 6 loop, all the way till you get back to the beginning, and you should have 12 star stitches at the end. and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 14. We have 12 star stitches, and we're going to place our last half double crochet in that last work stitch, then slip stitch to the top bar, the top post of that first star stitch, chain 1, turn the work, and place a half double crochet in that first stitch. And we're going to do our 2 half double crochets in the eye of each star stitch around. It's a little tight in there to see where we're going, but it's nothing that we haven't done already. Okay, so please continue this. You should have 25 half double crochets at the end of this round. Fasten off and make sure you leave a long tail so that you can sew up the top of your hat. And I'll meet up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 15. We have 25 half double crochets, and I'm going to slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made and fasten off. I have a nice long tail here so we can sew the top of our hat shut. So let's get up a yarn needle. This one I might need a little bit larger eye on this. Is a little thicker yarn. And all you have to do is just weave in and out of the stitches around the top of the hat. And then you'll pull it tight to close it up. These last few stitches. Now if you want, you can make a pom-pom and you can put a pom-pom on this hat. I did not put a pom-pom on my hat because I don't always put pom-poms on, and I just didn't put a pom-pom on this hat. But if you like pom-poms, you can go ahead and put a pom-pom on it. It's really up to you. But then just kind of sew back and forth over the top to keep it, to close it up. And then what I like to do is go straight down into the center, into the inside, and then go back and forth a couple times on the inside, just like that. And then tie a knot. And then fasten off. And you're all done. Now you can, I'll weave in these ends and the hat will be all finished. And this is your back seam to your hat. So here is the front of the hat. Here is the completed hat. If you've liked this tutorial, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you won't miss any of my tutorials. Thanks for watching and happy crocheting. Bye-bye.